Biden just admitted that he wants to ban handguns because right after the killing spree at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, he put out a statement that included this: Republican lawmakers must join with Democrats in Congress to ban assault weapons. And in this recent Las Vegas shooting, it wasn't an AR-15 that was used, but it was a handgun. Now, some have claimed that Biden is using this incident that was perpetrated with a handgun to further bans on weapons like AR-15s, but I disagree.
Well, agree to disagree.
I believe that he just confirmed why they changed their newspeak from using the term assault rifle to assault weapon. This is because anti-self-defense politicians don't just want to stop with rifles. They want to ban any type of gun that's practical for self-defense. It was never going to be enough to ban the AR-15 or to ban high-capacity magazines. They won't stop until you are completely disarmed. And they will use any tragedy and any loss of life they can to further their agenda.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. It's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Never waste a good crisis.
Anti-self-defense politicians know that the AR-15 is only used in a very small percentage of gun deaths. But they are banking on the fact that the public will allow them to conflate the numbers and the data to further their agenda. Joe Biden also had to say this in his statement. This year alone, our nation has experienced more than 600 mass shootings and approximately 40,000 deaths due to gun violence.
You sure about that?
When assessing this statement, it's important to keep in mind that it was written in response to the shooting at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. But the vast majority of these hundreds of mass shootings that he's referring to don't even fit the description or what most people would understand to be a mass shooting. Most of these mass shootings are related to domestic violence or other criminal activity like gang violence. But if you don't believe me, let's pull out some examples listed in the Gun Violence Archive. As I read through these cases, I'm in no way attempting to marginalize these victims or minimize these heinous crimes, but instead exposing how politicians stand on the graves of these victims to push their anti-self-defense laws. Okay, so the first one we have here was in Latrell, Tennessee. These are the victims. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 were the victims. And then we have this subject here. So let's talk about the incident characteristics. Domestic violence, family annihilation. Now, is that what most people would consider when they think of a mass shooting? A domestic violence dispute or a family annihilation? I don't know about you, but it's not what I think of. And so let's look at what type of weapon was involved. We have a .45 auto. Now, there's a pretty good chance that is a handgun and he wasn't using like a UMP or something like that. It was a pistol. So let's look at another example. All right, so next we have something that happened in Dallas, Texas. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 victims and then 2 suspects. It was a home invasion, mass murder, 4+ deceased, domestic violence. Again, domestic violence. Let's go to another one. Okay, we got High Point, North Carolina. Participants. 1, 2, 3, 4 victims. I don't like how they use the word participants. I don't think these people really wanted to participate in what was going on, but obviously they were forced into it. Murder-suicide, child involvement, mass murder, 4+ deceased, domestic violence, family annihilation. Again, family annihilation. Is this what you think of when you think of a mass shooting? These are intimate acts of violence. These are crimes of passion. I believe most people think of a random act of violence where someone goes into a public place, be it a school, a hotel, a restaurant, a mall, and kills indiscriminately. And what type of gun was involved? We got a 9mm. Again, most likely a handgun. It's doubtful this person was using a pistol caliber carbine. Let's look at the next one. Cleveland, Ohio. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 victims. 1 suspect, and we got domestic violence. Possession of a handgun by felon or prohibited person. It's almost like the person who perpetrated this didn't really consider the fact that it was illegal for them to own a gun. As if the lesser crime of being a prohibited person and possessing a gun compared with murder wasn't enough of a deterrence. Killed by family member. Again, domestic violence. Let's look at the next one. Clinton, North Carolina. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 victims. Is there no suspect? Maybe they don't know the suspect, but we have drug involvement. Do you think of most mass murders as being related to drugs, related to gang activity? I don't think most people do. This is showing how they conflate the numbers and use that to manipulate public opinion into thinking that we have 600 Las Vegas shootings. We have 600 Virginia Techs every single year. Let's talk about what gun was used. Unknown. 5-shot in home. You can look this stuff up for yourself if you don't believe me. You can go through the list of the 600 cases they have, and yes, some of them do fit what most people would understand to be a mass shooting, but many of them do not. Let's check out the next one. Cleveland, Texas. We got 5 victims and 1 suspect. Under the influence of alcohol or drugs, AR-15, AK-47 or variants. Execution style. I wouldn't say that many mass shootings are done execution style, which leads me to believe that there may be something else at play here. Let's take a look at the suspect here. Suspect in Texas massacre had been deported 4 times after entering US illegally, ICE source says. So the same politicians who want to go lax on our immigration policy and want to have open borders and just allow anyone in without any sort of vetting process, they also want to disarm you. Do you think this person is going to listen to those gun laws? So no, Joe, we haven't had 600 plus Las Vegas, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook style shootings this year. Not even close. But let's address another claim that Joe made, that 40,000 people are killed by gun violence every year. And to do this, we can go straight to the Gun Violence Archive. Here we have Gun Violence Archive for 2023. Total number of gun violent deaths, all cause. 40,262. Now you see that number and you're like, okay, yeah, 40,000. He was off by 262, or he rounded. But let's dig into these numbers a little bit. Homicide, murder, unintentional, defensive gun use, and that also includes officer-involved shooting. 17,690 of those. What are the rest? Suicide. Do you consider suicide to be gun violence? I don't, any more than I consider overdose to be pill violence. But yet, they use these numbers of 40,000 people, 40,000 gun deaths, and conflate those to suggest that we have this epidemic of gun violence. And we don't, because we can see here that over 50% of those 40,000 were related to suicide. And then the rest are related to homicide, murder, unintentional, and then defensive gun use. And then some were also related to officer-involved shootings. Does that mean we need to disarm police and take firearms away from police? Okay, so next, let's discuss some other things Joe thinks we should do to stop incidents like the recent one in Las Vegas. He proposes that in addition to banning assault weapons, i.e. handguns, we should ban high-capacity magazines, pass a national red flag law, enact universal background checks, require the safe storage of guns, and advance other common sense measures. Well, for one, the phrase high-capacity magazine is just as subjective, if not more subjective, than the phrase assault weapons. And red flag laws directly undermine due process and the pillar idea that you're innocent until proven guilty. And just like high-capacity magazines, the phrase universal background checks is also poorly defined. There are already safe storage laws on the books. And common sense measures is just another ambiguous phrase that they will certainly use to infringe on our rights. Whenever a politician proposes additional laws after an incident like this, it's important to examine whether or not that law had been passed beforehand, if it would have had any effect whatsoever. And based on what we know about this shooting, it doesn't seem like anything he's proposed would have stopped this. So I hope you can tell that statements put out like this by the White House in response to these incidents are nothing but manipulation tactics. They seek to create fear in the public by using lies, data conflation, and hyperbole to further advance their despotic agendas.
This is a ghost gun. This right here has ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second. 30 magazine clip in half a second.
I've held an AR-15 in my hand. I wish I had it. It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving. And the bullet that is utilized, a 50 caliber, need to be licensed and do not need to be on the streets.
A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body.
So now let's talk about some actionable steps that our society can take to help protect people from these violent murderers. And thankfully, about 250 years ago, a few very bright and very forward-thinking men came up with a solution, and it was called the Second Amendment. It's empowering people to protect themselves rather than outsourcing that responsibility to the government. Because disarming good guys in these gun-free zones only empowers criminals by offering them a softer target. UNLV is a gun-free campus, and it did not stop that person from coming on that campus with a gun and doing what he did. So let's stop banning guns and start banning laws and anti-self-defense politicians who want to take away your ability to protect yourself and your loved ones. As you can probably tell, I put a lot of work into making every single one of my videos, and I really enjoy making them for you. In case you don't know, YouTube loves to suppress content like this, and many of my subscribers don't even get notified when I post a new video. So if you like my videos, do me a favor by hitting that subscribe button, and don't forget to activate the notification bell so that you'll know when I post the next one. And don't forget to click the link in the description if you want to see extended versions of these videos.